Whenever I get a new student, one of the first questions I will ask them is, why do you want to learn this particular instrument? Now, there's any number of reasons why somebody might decide to learn a musical instrument at a certain point in their lives. However, one of the most common answers is always because of a band or an artist or a song that has inspired them. Now, as an educator, it's really important to know this kind of information, because with that knowledge we can then build up a plan of action that will allow the student to have small achievable goals over a certain amount of time, and through these small goals that are achieved they'll be able to measure progress and feel like they have achieved something. And that's really important when you're teaching an instrument or any skill set really, that the person who's doing so can see where they started off and where they are progressing to and what potentially the next stage is. Often when a student is inspired to learn one particular song, I like to break down that process as to how we would learn that song, and by doing that it allows a doorway into learning specific musical features and devices and elements that will not only allow the student to learn that song, but also learn about music and how it's created and how it's put together. One of the most important or fundamental building blocks of music is harmony, or chords. And what I like to do sometimes with new students is to show them a really quick and easy and efficient method of learning how to play basic triad root position chords on the keyboard, either major or minor. And with this information they are able to learn effectively any chord. So if they have a song sheet with the lyrics and the chords on, and they have a half decent sense of rhythm, they would be able to figure out the block shapes of that song and very quickly be able to play these pieces. It wouldn't require much in the way of technical ability with the instrument, but it will sound very efficient very quickly. Down the line we would then add in information about inversions and arpeggiating chords and any number of things to make this basic piece go up to the next level. But like I said, this is a fantastic starting point for chords.
So at this point we're going to assume that the student has been given some basic information about the mechanics of the keyboard and the layout. For instance, they know that this is middle C, and these black notes could either be sharps or flats. We have tones and we have semitones. But for the sake of this video, a tone is 2 steps. So this is your starting point, step 1, step 2. And a semitone would be 1 step. So this is my starting point, and this would be a semitone or 1 step. So the first stage is to identify the first note of that chord. So if the chord was going to be D major, the first note would be D. If the chord was going to be E major, the first note would be E. If the chord was going to be F sharp major, the first note would be F sharp. In this case we will do C major. So we start with the note C. From here, the student will count up 4 semitones. 1, 2, 3, 4. And both the starting note and the new note will be kept down. From the new note, the student will then be asked to count up 3 semitones. 1, 2, 3. The first note, the middle note, and the last note will all be played at the same time. And that is a major chord. It works for any major chord whatsoever, as long as you can identify the starting note. So, some examples. If we were trying to play the chord E major, E, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3. You will notice that for the middle note I landed on a black note, in this case G sharp. You still play that. Sometimes students struggle with the concept of using the black notes as well. They would go 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, which of course is not accurate. It's very important to understand that the black notes need to be included when we're counting. let's say we were trying to play the chord A major. We'll start on the note A. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3. A major. Then from there, once they're comfortable with that, I would introduce some technique. So only use one hand. In this case, if we're working with the right hand, start with the thumb. Aim to use probably the middle finger, or maybe the index finger depending on the chord, and either the little or the ring finger for the final chord. Once they understand this, I then talk about minor chords, and I will talk about how minor chords sometimes sound a bit different to major chords. People traditionally say that major is happy and minor is sad. It's a very simple way of looking at it, but it is also quite effective in the early stages of music education. And once the student has really good understanding of how to play a major chord of 4 semitones and 3 semitones, it's a really, really easy step to get to minor chords. We start on the note of the chord we want to play, in this case D minor, and rather than counting up 4 and 3, we would count up 3 and 4. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4. D minor. To play F minor, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 4.
I've found over the years that this is a fantastic method for novice piano players to really get stuck into the instrument and to be able to learn songs that they recognise and that their friends and family might know, and it really gives them enthusiasm and confidence for the instrument as we then go on to the next stage. If you have any questions about this, or you're interested in any resources that might help you understand this concept a bit better, please leave a comment and I'll get back to you as soon as I can.